Jeez.
That's you weren't doing it.
I was. It was just off camera.
Okay.
Just had a little mashup there for you guys. Welcome back. Good evening, friends, and welcome to Live Reality Games, a network of creators making our favorite shows into reality. I'm your host, Kirk, and today we are here to talk about everything that just went down, in my opinion, the biggest, baddest reality game of them all, Survivor Season 41. It's episode 6. We are merged, ? So, like always, this will be full of spoilers. So if you haven't watched yet, head on over to CBS. But before you leave, hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you can hear about everything dropping in the LRG community. And tonight's LRG Survivor Takeover is none other than the victors valiant themselves, the kings of College Survivor. With us, Survivor Michigan. Welcome, guys.
Thank you for having us.
First up, Matthew, thanks for coming on. I know of your reputation as a Survivor super expert. I hear you have some interesting stats that you can name off very quickly.
I can name the seasons quickly. That used to be my thing. I can still, born in Australia, Africa, Marquesas, Thailand, the Amazon Province, also Vanuatu, Palau, Guatemala, Panama, Cook Islands. I can do that. But that's I don't have like a super stat sheet just for Survivor Michigan. I do, but for regular Survivor, I came up with a winner score or something like that. But yeah, I'm a fan, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's
do it, and then just bust.
Yeah, you still can.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. It's like riding a bike.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right? Yeah. I don't do it as much, but when called upon, I can do it. Yeah.
So the first spoiler of tonight is, guys, for the first time ever, for me, nobody was voted out. So Matthew, actually, my first question for you is, has this ever happened in Survivor US proper?
Not off the top of my head. Other than somebody got voted out and went to redemption or something like that. But I could be forgetting something, but I definitely can't remember in the first 10 minutes when Jeff was like, there's going to be no tribal tonight, like that. That seemed very, very unusual. So
yeah, my jaw dropped to the ground. I was like, what is happening here? What's about to go down? So even though nobody's voted out, guys, I think we still have a plethora of stuff to kind of unbox tonight. Also with us, Ian, the current, I believe, editor of Survivor Michigan. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello, happy to be here.
What are you thinking of the edit so far this season? A lot of people are talking about it being very different than their past seasons. What's your take as an editor?
Yeah, interestingly enough, I think I don't know if they're taking cues from College Survivor, but it certainly is a little more similar to some of the stuff that I've seen us do and other College Survivors do, where there's more twisty sort of editing with flashbacks with the idols, like they did with Nasir last week, and some of the ways they're bringing people's backstories and stuff I know is similar to some of the international survivors. So it definitely seems like they've decided to spice up the editing a little bit for their season 41 and just get a little more creative with it, which I'm a big fan of. After 40 seasons, it's time to see some new editing tricks. So I thought the Nasir idol edit was great, and I hope there's more of that as they continue.
Cool. It's good hearing that from another editor, because as a casual fan, I love the new edits. It reminded me of Amanda Kimmel's idol find in Micronesia. And then who else got that flashback edit? Was it Ben? When he won his season, I can't recall.
That sounds about right.
I think a Ben Bomb was a surprise one. Maybe not. I can't recall. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. We're talking about season 41. And with us as well, the host and player of Survivor Michigan, Cooper. Welcome back.
Thank you as always for having me. Happy to always talk about Survivor. So can't wait to get into the episode.
And before we get right into it, I gotta say, dude, it makes me it honors me and my fellow podcasters on this journey, but especially me, because I got the short end of the stick. I had to do one of the very first podcasts on this channel when there was no followers, nobody there, and there was Cooper ready to jump on and have us start recapping stuff. And I started the Survivor Michigan recaps. And then the podcasters took it from me. He just literally stole it. And I was so mad at first because I used to live right across the street from the stadium on Potter Street. Like I'm from the community, so it was like so cool. But at the same time, I got to chill, relax, and just watch you guys talk. So that was just as fun. Also, before we get into it, I just want to announce that the founder of Survivor Michigan, George, it was just his birthday. So happy birthday, George. And speaking of founders, I hear that this person from Big Brother might have been involved, Miss Claire, somewhat wrapped into this. Is this true? What was she? She's the founder?
Co-founder, that is very true. She was, I think if you look closely and go back and watch season 1, you can see her in the background of some of the shots. But yeah, her and George were there the first season. That's who kicked the whole thing off. So yeah, it was very cool, obviously, to see her on Big Brother and like watch her like be able to play like a reality game that all of us watch on TV. So just very cool.
Yeah, so
we're all very excited and very jealous. Yeah.
So tons of apps are coming in this year, CBS, from everybody, because now we all think it could be us. So just like every week, Jeff Probst is giving us like, please apply, please apply. If you haven't applied, people, you should right now because they are calling people. Let's get right into it. It's episode 6. It's called Ready to Play Like a Lion. Who's playing like a lion right now?
That's a good
Shan?
Yeah, Shan and Ricard, you got to feel like both of them, just everything with the extra vote has been, they both came to play. They both don't want to give an inch, which is so funny to see them interact.
I like the metaphor of the waves crashing against each other every time. We get that recapped, that B-roll footage every single time we see them. But this one, I think, was the most heated. I mean, the episode starts, it's night 11. Tribals just went down, and Shan already wants that vote back.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be forced to stick together, though, because their tribe is so decimated that it's going to be like they want to turn on each other, sort of, but they're not going to.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think they will stick together for the near future. They've just voted together so many times. You got to think there is such a strong bond there, even if they are fighting a little bit here and there. But in the long run, once it gets to like 6 or 7, I think they're going to come for each other. They both the way they play the game is just so much. They don't want to give an inch. They don't even want the other person to have an extra vote because they know down the line they might be butting heads, and that might be the extra vote that's going to swing whatever is happening at that moment. So they are already looking far enough down the line that it matters to them who has that extra vote.
And I think it's really like an example of two people that are like so strategically minded and so savvy that it works for a little bit when there are a lot of other people around them, but it's impossible for them to be together for too long because they both know that they're coming after each other. And it works at first because they both recognize the other strategic, but it's not going to work long term when they both know the other wants to cut them and they want to cut the other person. So.
And it's got to be really hard. I'm not a huge fan of Ricard, but just giving Shan that vote back when you know then she has all of the power and you have nothing if in fact they did have to go to, let's say, a tribal council with only 2, which I thought would have been interesting, guys, because we've only seen that once before with Bobby John and Stephanie, and that was pre extra vote advantages. And I actually was intrigued what would go down at a final, or not a final 2, but a tribe of 2 tribal council where a player has an extra vote and a player has an idol. I actually would have loved to watch that go down.
You would think they would allow them to still just play everything. I mean, I would think it worked out that way in the past. You had like Bobby John and Stephanie, obviously, that at the time they were just, they had to vote for each other. There was nothing else they could play. They didn't have anything in their bag of tricks. But you would have to think that it works as any other tribal council. They just didn't go through all the formalities of it in the past seasons.
Yeah, I mean, Ricard would have been screwed. He would have played an extra vote, but it wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah, he would have had to give back the extra vote anyway, knowing that Shan had the idol.
What happens if he uses his roll the dice and then becomes safe and now they're both safe?
I think then it's fire. You'd have to.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
safe. Like, can you be
Or
unsafe?
send them home and redo the week next week. Yeah.
What scenario can you play an idle but still be unsafe? That's the question.
I don't know.
That's a great point, and it's something we kind of brought up in a different scenario in the 3-person tribal council that went down. Had there been 0 votes, some safeties, what happens? But if 2 people are truly safe from either the idol or the dice roll, is it like this episode? And it's like, hey guys, just go back to camp, and we'll see you in 2 days.
I don't know.
You would have to think not. You'd have to think they would just say, all right, all of your immunities just cancel each other out. You're making fire. Like,
But
that's what I would do.
Then it's like
but-
you may as well have not played any of them and like made a deal, because then
Sure,
it's like
but
you
then-
could have
then
just
it's-
made the deal to not play any of them. Then whoever stays in at least has their
Right,
stuff.
but then there's some kind of dynamic where you have to trust each other. Is that deal actually on? Is it off? Are we playing our things? Are we not playing our things? Like,
realistically, you should just. Well, that's just tough.
yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
So maybe that's why that's not what happened, and we see other things. But before we get there, I think Shan is the queen right now of the guilt trip, because I don't think she gets that vote from Ricard. He's very stubborn, as we've seen, and she managed to get this back from someone who's so stubborn. And then also, he kind of made it seem like, if I give this to you, I'm the same as JD. And I really think Ricard was having a hard time balancing this fact in his head.
I mean, I think that's fair. Like, I think Shan was being a little ridiculous. Like, her and Ricard come up with this plan to blindside JD that involves them taking JD's advantage. Then, like, a week later, she comes to Ricard and is like, well, give me your advantage. He's like, I've seen this movie before. Like, what are you trying to pull here, basically? And so I think he's perfectly justified in continuing to be skeptical of it, even after she voted with him and stayed in the game. From his point of view, he's like, you've proven that you will cut people even if they're ridiculously loyal to you, because everyone in our tribe was loyal to you. So,
I mean, do we think she would have cut him? I kind of think she would have if he had given her up. If he had given up the extra vote, like, I think that might have saved his ass.
No, I don't think she would have done that.
No.
I think she might have.
He wasn't. No,
I don't think she would
was
have,
cutting
but
him.
I think that he's perfectly justified in thinking she may have.
Yeah.
I love her quote. I trust him-ish. I just love that.
Doesn't trust him.
Yeah, I mean, the whole extra vote thing, she has it back, but I think what it cost her is definitely a little bit in that relationship. I think that relationship is strained a little bit now, and they'll work together for a bit. But I think in a few votes, we'll see that they aren't necessarily going to be the tightest allies.
It also might have been risky for her, because you could see him going to a bunch of people now and being like, look at all this and the advantage she has, and just spilling everything and explaining to all these people how she hoodwinked JD and did all this. Like, he could easily paint a gigantic target on her back if he wanted to.
Yeah, there's a lot of loose lips this season about the advantages. I just feel like that's going to be super problematic coming up very soon.
Yep. And there's so many of them out there. You'd have to
I
think.
can't even keep track of who has what anymore.
Yeah, you'd have to think a lot of them are going to come out at some tribal council where the line is really going to get drawn, and you're going to have sides that are close in numbers, and you're going to see a lot of these probably come out at the same time, is my guess.
I
But
hope so.
To talk a little bit more about UA, who were you guys rooting for before this final 2? Were you rooting for anybody else that was the previous 4 that got eliminated?
I like JD, but I guess that's not a popular opinion. I don't know. I thought he was fun, but also I think Shan is probably the best character / strategist from that tribe. So I'm rooting for her.
yeah, I was probably rooting for Shan and Ricard. If I could have picked 2 people to survive from that tribe, that's who I would have picked moving forward. I think they'll make the rest of the season the most interesting. So that's who I would have picked.
Yeah, same.
So it's day 12. We're at the Yasa tribe, and they are invoking the survivor gods to create food energy into their tree mail. And we got track 2 of the Yasa album today, which was just as riveting as the rock drumming that we got last week. What are you guys thinking about this ragtag group of people?
It's all Evie all the way. I'm big team Evie over here.
I think Xander's in trouble, but I don't know if he should be. And we got a little bit of like Liana and Tiffany talking about it later in the episode, of Liana being like, I kind of want to cut him. I kind of want to take his like idol and then just like be done with him. Obviously it's the 3 girls and he was on the outs, But I think Tiffany actually has the right idea here and she kind of didn't say it, but she alluded to it. She's like, he's with us. Like he thinks that we are a tight 4. There's no reason to cut him. Like he has this idol, he has this extra vote, but it's going to be used for our benefit right now. I think if Liana takes something from him, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. You might as well take it from Nasir, somebody who you've never talked to, never worked with, and who's probably going to end up on the other side of you. So I think they should be working with Xander. I don't think they will, but we'll see what happens there.
Well, this is a bit of an aside, but here's my hot take about what's the name of the girl who has the thing that you can steal someone's idol? Liana. Okay, here's what I think she should have done with that. She should not have told anybody about this. What I think she should have done, she should have gone, because up to this point, everything that people got from that island was an extra vote, right? So she should have gone, stolen an idol from Nasir or somebody who wasn't on her tribe, figured them out. Everybody's finding out who the idols are anyways. Stolen one of those people's idols. Then if anyone then just claim it's a lie. If anybody says, oh, you stole my idol, be like, that's ridiculous. That would be absurd. Have you ever seen that in Survivor before? That's ridiculous. Obviously, I have an extra vote. That's what everybody else has. And maybe if you really want to even bring Xander in on it or something, bring your alliance in on it and then use their extra vote as proof. Oh, here's the extra vote I found. If anyone asks you about it.
I feel like she has to stand up and say, hey, do you have an idol? He says yes, and then he has to give it to her. Like she's like, I have this advantage.
I feel like it's at tribal publicly happening.
Oh, I completely misunderstood that. I thought it was like she just go up to them in the woods or something.
No. I think it's all public.
But I was also confused. Maybe I misremember this, but can't they, if they lie, I thought it becomes powerless. Like I thought if they say yes, I have it, they give it to her. If they say no,
I don't think they can lie. I think it says you have to tell the truth. You have to hand this over. I didn't
realize this had to happen at tribal.
Yeah.
Disregard what you said.
Yeah, Ian, I was in the same boat with you last week when we were trying to figure out this thing. I was like, well, it seems very problematic, and there's ways around this. It's actually, I agree with you. It's very dangerous to tell about this power because it's so powerful, and it isn't perfect because it is as simple as me having an ally maybe as close as Matthew and being like, I know this is going to suck for my game, but I have to give you the idol tonight because they're going to steal it from me, And if you secretly do that, that might be an advantage. Okay. Also, just a quick question for Ian. I know you're the editor, but have you ever played Survivor?
No, not in a serious fashion. I've only played Survivor in a small scale, we've done drinking games and stuff like that. Yeah. I played a few I played some orgs. I played in some online ones, but never Survivor Michigan or anything like that.
Oh, Drunk Survivor is always a good time. For sure. Yeah. But that's, because I was going to say those are the right instincts, dude. Like just trying to figure out how to use this advantage in every situation, I think is what the players should be doing. But yeah, it's messy. She's told too many people, and telling Tiffany tonight was probably not in her best interest. I don't know.
I like Tiffany's aggressiveness though, to be like, what'd you get? And to be like, oh, you got to tell me. Tiffany's going for it. Like she's not just sitting back and, just letting people sort of, decide what's going on. Like she's aggressive, and I appreciate that.
So Yasa's hoping for food. Then we pop over to Luvu for a hot second. And Sydney's talking about no solid alliances. But the thing I keep looking at is her edit has just gone completely flip-flopped from her chasing after crabs and not catching them and tumbling around in the water to spearfishing 9 fish for her tribe to now she's getting not goofy music in the background. I think something's emerging here, or they're just pulling one over on us.
I like her. I hope she sticks around. I think she's funny.
Yeah, I think, I don't know. It's so tough. I think what it could be is there's just maybe the people on that tribe aren't as good or entertaining in their confessionals. I think that tribe has a lot of people who we haven't seen a lot from, like Heather, like Erica. Who's Heather? And so I think they might just be filling time with somebody who's a good confessionalist. But it could very well be them wanting to put her on the screen, knowing that she goes very far in the game too. So yeah, we'll see.
And we have Nasir saying we're the final 6. And I love Deshaun's response at least in the edit, he says, let's vote together at least for the first couple votes. That's got to feel really reassuring.
I feel like you say that in a confessional, but
Why would you
yeah.
say that?
If he's saying that out loud, it basically means that they all understand that they're so fractured that the best he can even hope for is to stick together for a few votes. So to me, I don't think they will vote together for a single vote. They were already talking about voting out Erica. And we'll get to this later, but obviously Erica is going to take safety, and a lot of those blue members are going to be not safe. And I think she could then go and target them potentially. So I don't see blue sticking together for this first vote. That's just not happening.
Do you think this year will come to regret not letting them throw a challenge the couple of times they wanted to? Like if they had thrown it, voted out Erica, and now they're like actually an alliance, versus like now they none of them really know if they can trust each other.
I don't know. I think he was always going to be so opposed to throwing a challenge. It's just not him, it seems like. But
I mean, I see it, Ian. If like Erica flips on them, like at this first vote, like no matter who's immune, but if she doesn't vote with them, and it gets out that they were throwing her name around, like he might come to regret it. But I agree with you. Like theoretically, yes, he probably should regret it, but like, will he? Probably not. So.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, Nasir was not one of the players actively going against Erica, right?
No, not really. No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
But they were telling him they wanted to vote her out when they were considering throwing it. Like, so he knew that much at least.
So he's in the loop, but not in the middle of said loop.
Yeah, I think he on the original tribe was friendly with everybody, so I don't think it made sense for him to want to get rid of anybody. I think everybody on that tribe wants to at least work with him, or at least doesn't want to target him come the merge. So for him, I don't think it really made a lot of sense to start picking off people that he already knows and aren't going to come after him.
Absolutely. And what we were talking about last week is it seemed kind of interesting that in the edit, they make it seem like Nasir found that idol this past episode, but are we sure he didn't find it the episode prior, after Brad had been voted out and his idol was now gone? Could Nasir have already found it, and the real reason he didn't want to throw it is because he wanted to actively stay in power and have a chance to say his clue next round again? I don't know.
Why wouldn't he have? Do you think they cut out him saying the clue then?
Well, he might just not have said it because nobody on green said it. So he was going to wait and then maybe at that one. It's possible, I guess. I mean, we really have no idea when he found it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I guess that's true. You could have found it at any point, I guess.
Yeah, you would think they didn't cut it out. That would have been a hard thing to cut out, especially then because if Jeannie finds that idol, she probably picks it up knowing that if really the other two people had said it, you would think she would just take it knowing that it would have been activated.
Mm-hmm.
Just
So
did they establish the order it needs to be set in?
I don't think there was an order.
Because that could, I wonder if there's scenarios where that could lead to a real game of hot potato of no one wanting to be the first one to say it, If it's not established who has to start it. If you don't want to reveal you have it without being sure you'll get the thing,
Yeah, somebody just has to start it, but it is a thing, Ian, if everybody has it and you're like, I'm just going to wait till somebody else says it so that I know if I should say it.
The issue is they all are sitting there and they can't vote. So you're kind of
True.
I do want my vote back and I do want to have an idol. I probably should just say this.
Oh, yes. I forgot about that, Cooper. That was the reason they said maybe Nasir would push to not lose the challenge, is if at that moment he didn't have his vote. What they did not reveal to us in the flashback was the day, which day he found it.
It said 1 day earlier.
Yeah. It
did?
It technically said that, but
Yeah.
you obviously never
be BS.
know.
That could be BS. I'd go. I mean, that's something we would do. We would lie about that
Yeah.
potentially. So I wouldn't put it past them.
Yeah.
It's if there's somebody out there on Rob Has a Podcast who's going to interview Nasir someday, please ask him that question. I think it'd be fascinating to find out.
Well, maybe you have to get in touch with some people at CBS and go behind the scenes and see if we know anybody there.
There's some people in the loop
that can potentially give us a spoiler on this.
Yeah. Just message us and then we'll just spread it amongst the large ears.
Yeah.
Then we got. I'm curious about this, guys. We have gotten a lot of, for lack of better words, behind the scenes footage this season. What's your honest take on this?
I like it, but I think it's a hot take.
That is a hot take.
Okay, Cooper, you're not feeling it.
No, I wonder. I was curious if he was going to bring this up when you asked him about like kind of all the new editing tricks that they were doing this season. I don't like it. I don't like that Jeff talks to the camera. I don't like that we get a shot of somebody filming Jeff. Like, just give me Jeff. But also, I just don't know why he needs to talk to us. And there were also just weird voiceovers this episode too, where he was just passing up buffs, clearly not saying anything, and it was just Jeff's voice just coming over the screen.
That was just bad editing.
That part was. I don't know. I don't love it. I like the traditional, just like give me Jeff when he's talking. I don't need him talking to me. Just show me the players. Like don't waste screen time talking to me. Like show me what's happening in the game.
I'll say this. I agree with that. I don't like the Jeff talking to the camera. And the shots of like where you see like camera people and stuff is kind of weird. I did like it in like the first episode or two because it had this whole vibe of like, oh, we're like getting back to it, sort of thing because of the pandemic and how long it was since the last season. It had sort of a like, oh, the cameras are rolling again, like the show's starting kind of deal. And so I did think that was kind of fun.
I think that I will agree with you in the kind of first, like the boat scene. After that, I do not like camera people. Get them out of my show.
I don't really hate it, honestly. I think I don't know. I'm always so curious where they have the cameras put and stuff on this that I don't mind seeing it because it's something I've been curious about. So I agree the voiceovers and stuff like that is kind of weird, though, and odd.
The only thing I don't like, I was just going to say is being like, I kind of wish I was surprised, at least in this episode, like along with the players. Like I felt like Jeff kind of spoiled, like, oh, nobody's going home tonight.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I wanted to react as the players reacted. Like my jaw hits the floor as them. I'm like, oh, like, okay, well now I have to watch them find it out, but I already knew, so.
That was a weird thing to put at the top.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, it is a form of dramatic irony, so we can watch them react, but you're right. We can't live the same reaction as the players then as we go through that. I've liked some. I've not liked some of these like behind the scenes moments as well. But I think it really reminds me of the advent of live streaming Survivor games on Facebook and YouTube from these other LRGs that don't create YouTube episodes. And it reminds me so much because in those, you accidentally see cameramen all the time. You accidentally see a million production. You see hospitality, somebody's mom bringing out food from the house that's in the backyard over there. So in some ways, I'm like, are they tapping into this like messier Survivor feel that these events put on? Are they doing it on purpose to reach out to this fan niche? Because I can't see any other reason why you would do it.
It feels very LRG, like it feels very College Survivor, kind of like live reality game-esque, where you just like, I mean, we try at Survivor Michigan, we're like stay out of our shot, we're trying to film, but you always get people in like the back of the shots also filming, like it just happens. It does feel like that.
Maybe that's why I don't mind it too much, because it does remind me of those shows, and I like those shows. So maybe that's why it doesn't bother me. It does. I feel like it does add a level of realism to it, where it can be breaking the fourth wall a little bit, but it can also make it a little more real. So I don't know. I think it cuts both ways.
It's so true. I was at Live to Give this summer as a tribe lead and cameraman, and I was so exhausted after like day 2 that I remember just steady filming Kristen Williams on camera. She was literally on the other side of a group of people talking. I'm steady filming her, and then I'm like, wait, okay, tilt. Like I just completely forgot. And so if there's B-roll footage of Kristen Williams, that's me. I did it. So Jeff comes out to ruffle some feathers, not rustle.
Russell.
I just got
Ruffles like the
Tyson
chip.
vibes. Yeah. And he breaks it all down. Guys, there's a lot to unbox with this twist. I thought people were confused about advantages earlier, and I actually thought it was kind of silly because to me it was kind of easy to follow, but the consequences were hard to swallow. But this, I was like, what the hell is happening here?
They were doing a lot.
To the merge, but not getting the feast. How brutal is that?
That would be tough. It was sort of hard to follow, honestly. There was just like there's 5, and then there's 2, and then there's 5. But the 2 gets split up, then they're going to be 1 and 1, and like some people are getting food, some people aren't getting food. I mean, I think you digest it after it kind of happens. You're like, okay, that makes sense. But while it's being all explained, you're like, what is this crazy thing they're throwing in? And we'll get to this, but I did not like this twist at all. But but I think afterwards, eventually looking back, you're like, okay, I followed that. That actually wasn't too bad, I guess, maybe.
So they're going to earn their merge buff, which is one of Nasir's favorite colors. They're dividing into two tribes. One tribe will win safety. We'll get
For now.
That's so shitty.
One tribe will win losing safety, but we'll get
yeah. And then they draw rocks to divide into two tribes. And then ironically, there's going to be another group of two. We just had a group of two. We just had two Uwas, but for some reason in this twist, we're going to make a new group of two. And they're going to be the gray rocks and sit out. But essentially, they're both going to have the most power in some ways. I don't know. It's strange.
I'm a big fan of schoolyard picks, so I really wish they could have just drawn like gray rocks or captains, because then you actually have to make a choice. Like the choice they had to make between Erica and Nasir, like they said it was rock, paper, scissors, but like, you know, I want to like make a decision in cold blood and have to like choose, you know, between, and like don't have like, oh, we just did a rock, paper, scissors, like don't have an excuse. And it's also like it was sort of random. Like luck is obviously part of the game, but you know, if you can maybe avoid luck and make it somewhat strategy, and you know, oh, the captains, then they have to make a strategic choice. You know, the more you can sort of take luck out of it, if possible, you should. So I really think they missed an opportunity with the schoolyard pick, but you know,
why not? Here's my question: why not make it 6 and 6? Have someone from the winning tribe be like, okay, now you just have to choose somebody from yourselves to go to exile. And you can even give them the same choice, which I still wouldn't have liked. But like, at least it's more interesting.
Giving the person on exile that choice to it, like it would make more sense if you had somebody who already was immune choosing it, maybe. Because in what, like realistically, if your choice is I'm not immune but I could be immune, why wouldn't you just take the pick to be immune? Like in what scenario is she not going to flip it on?
And she gets to just screw over everybody who made her not immune. That is her choice. I don't like, what is the negative, or what is any potential reason why she would just keep it the same? I cannot think of a single one.
If she felt really safe, like maybe if you're somebody who's good friends with that group and like you actually think they randomly rock, paper, scissors and didn't choose you, but like she felt on the bottom, like she is on the bottom, like yeah, she obviously should flip it.
That's so true. You know, I agree with you, Matthew. I feel like a schoolyard pick would have been much better because they set up a physical challenge. The players are looking in front of them. They see exactly what's in store. And so they're going to pick. It might change their strategy. I mean, I could see the Yasa women being like, oh, shit, I can't pick another Yasa woman for my tribe because we're going to lose this challenge. I have to have Danny, Nasir, or Deshawn because I need to be 6 foot something to get over this fucking wall.
And you can split those guys up instead of, you know, they ended up on the same tribe.
And you can try to split blues up on purpose, thinking maybe it's going to be a traditional tribal council. But then we go to a random draw, and really, it couldn't have been a worse draw for the drama of the challenge.
Yeah. You could have just fast forwarded through that challenge and been like, "Oh, shocker!" Like the team with all the like,
they got to the puzzle.
The tribe that's won every challenge thus far is going to win again.
Yeah,
what a surprise!
Yeah. That's so true. So okay, so one of the tribes is Xander, Heather, Liana, Shan, and Tiffany. And I just can't. Xander's luck is like, I don't know what's happening here. And then the other tribe is Danny.
So he'll be fine. But.
Yeah, that's true. Danny, Ricard, Sydney, Evie, and Deshawn. It's just stacked against this, and it literally plays out that way. From digging the boulder out. By the way, how the hell do you build a boulder? How do you make a boulder?
Did they just like get a big rock and like chisel it? Like I honestly don't know.
It can't be a rock. That would be too heavy, right? Like
probably. It's probably not an actual rock.
I want to know what this is made out of. It looks so bizarre. And I don't know if this is that whole optical illusion thing where colors appear differently, but I swear the yellow ball to me looked like it was dug. It was in the sand deeper than the blue ball. I wish I could pop open a an image right now to show you guys, but it might be an optical illusion, and I'm sure it is. But man, did it look like that blue ball was easier to get out.
I wonder how they got them in there in the first place. Just dig a hole and then just push it out.
Oh, I bet that was the dream teamers. I literally bet they were like, hey, today's task, dig a hole.
It looked pretty in there. So,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Hope you enjoy this internship.
Yeah.
So also just a hot take. I do think, even if you don't like this twist, I think Jeff Probst he found his way back to his former self. I think he himself was living his best life in this challenge, because he looked like he was so happy from start to finish. Like, even though it was drastically a runaway battle, I think he was stoked. I think he was having a great time.
Yeah. This was a really fun, it felt like an old school challenge. It was very physical. It was kind of rough. I totally get what you're saying there.
And once again, we're not in the water. Thank goodness, because I felt like for 4 weeks we did the same challenge. We just shifted the challenge portion of it and gave us a puzzle at the end. I was really surprised. So after, it was very physical. They had to get on top of the ball. They had to go up the whatever that wall is they do in that Spartan show. They do the same thing. But they get up to the puzzle, and I gotta say, for a puzzle that obviously they needed to be one of those make it or break it type things where both tribes are there, they did not make it a hard puzzle. Like Merge Feast is probably the most obvious answer of any merge puzzle ever.
Yeah. At the merge, the first thing you're looking for is you're looking for merge, and then you have 5 letters left, and you're like, what do I do with FEAST? And you're like, I think I got that one.
It's a CF.
5-letter word, yeah.
Yeah, what other words can you make out of this? I was like, gram, mast.
Yeah.
I'm just like, there's nothing. It's easy. Steam.
Yeah. You can make safe. Safe was about as but
safe at. No, you couldn't do at because you have safe. Yeah, I don't think somebody should put it into an anagrammatizer and see if there's any comment with another answer to this puzzle, if there is one. And so we have them win their first meal in 12 freaking days, you guys.
Yeah. I don't think they've shown us they've alluded to it a lot of times of how little food they have, and they do talk about it some, but it's pretty clear they have had no food. Sending somebody to exile for 2 days was a big deal rather than the merge feast. It does seem like a big deal, even though they kind of are trying to make it one, but I don't even think they've gone far enough to be they have literally gotten no food. This is their one chance at food.
I think they just when they throw so many twists and advantages, you can't do both. You can either have a season that's back to the basis and the focus is on, they have no food, or you can do an advantage heavy season. But when you do both, it's just been focused on advantages. I know they're starving, but they just can't focus on it because they're trying to do too many things at once. So, but yeah, I wish we could see more of that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that they definitely should have, if they were trying to lean into the intensity of this version, they should have included more screen time of them starving and stuff like that, and maybe pared back the advantages just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like they threw everything at this one season. I think it was
every idea they had in the past 2 years,
yes.
they jammed into this.
They jammed into one season. They're like, okay,
the whole pandemic.
No swap. It's going to be 26 days. We're going to throw an advantage or 2 into every single episode and then just see what happens. And it's slow down. This is
spread this
dice.
Over. I mean, there's
I didn't
so
even,
much shit.
I honestly forgot that even existed. Genuinely. But
it's like whoever's in the secret inner circle of Probst, what he was like, okay, everybody can throw in 2 ideas during COVID, and we're gonna just shake it all up and just throw it onto the plan, and let's see what happens.
Yeah, they put 20 ideas in a bowl and picked 5 of them, and they're like, all right, here's our season.
I think it was more than that. I think they were sitting around and they said, what are all the ideas? And everyone had homework. Everyone brought an idea. And Probst just said, okay, we're doing all of them. So we're not even.
Sounds like a Survivor Michigan production meeting, just ideas swirling around, but we actually know how to pare it down to a few. So.
Yeah.
Because remember, this season was supposed to have fire tokens.
Oh my God.
I would have been here for that, to be honest. I love fire tokens. I wish they had kept them. I think there was a lot more stuff they could have done with fire tokens, honestly.
I think they need to rework them just slightly, but I also agree that I would like to see them back in the future.
Absolutely. I also think you could change the name. I think fire token is like coin at the arcade. It could be a little cooler, but I'll stick with fire token. It's okay. I don't know, like something cool. So yeah. So we see Nasir is picked. They say we did rock, paper, scissors. Erica saw through that shit right off the bat. And Nasir, I think, really, I mean, they claimed it was because he was a dude, and they're concerned that guys are being eliminated. I apologize for using that word just now. But I really think it had more to do with maybe his advantage. I mean, I'm just assuming that everybody has got to know about everybody's idol at this point.
I feel like on Blue, there's a little less understanding of that.
Okay.
They haven't made it clear because I think Evie told Deshaun like in episode 2 about Xander.
They haven't shown
the phrase exactly. We don't know if he told his whole tribe. We don't really know.
Yeah.
I
I do think it was sort of the guys thing. Because Deshaun and Danny, we have seen a little bit of them being worried about that. Now, like, Ua was down to 2 members. It was like a guy and a girl. You have, I think the only real evidence for that is them kind of looking at Yellow, who only went to 2 tribals. So, I mean, it's what it is, but that is their thought process. I believe that is probably what was the deciding factor.
Makes sense. So everybody walks off, and Erica is left there to find out she is going to. It's back. Another twist. Exile has returned. At first, I thought it was the edge of Extinction Island, but it's clearly not in there at the last clip that they showed. But she's there for not an afternoon on a boat with Cochrane. She is not there with Kathy Sleckman looking for an Aussie idol that was already found. She is there by herself for 2 days, and she's so excited because there are 2 nice little things waiting for her when she arrives, and it is a quarter cup of rice and fresh water.
Yeah,
you do.
It's I feel for her in a game. Honestly, I feel for her in a game sense. Obviously, that sucks to just kind of be out there, have to fend for yourself for 2 days, but like, from a strategic point, this game is already only 26 days. It's been moving at a lightning speed. They're having tribal councils every 2 days. So much is happening each like round of 2 days that to be gone for an entire 48 hours is you miss an entire round of strategy, basically, which is crazy to come back from. So while I think what she got was extremely overpowered, and she is going to have a few more days once she takes safety to kind of reintegrate and talk to people, it is going to have a lasting impact that she was not there for the first 2 days that everyone got to meet each other. And she was already kind of on the bottom. Maybe somebody who was really in with Blue, who already knew half the tribe, would have been okay. But I think her kind of already being on the bottom, not getting to make new connections, is going to have a long-term impact. And I don't see her surviving the next few tribals, that she's not safe.
She was already like one of the top candidates to go at Merge, and now the fact that she's not there and she can't, fight for herself again, she's going to have a chance to if she flips this. But, it definitely didn't help.
On top of that, she barely gets screen time to speak of, so you can't imagine she goes super far, honestly. Like, unless they're really changing up the way they do the editing, I don't know if they're changing up that much.
I think they are, Ian, only because the signs of 6 episodes so far just seem to be pointing in like a South Africa or Australia direction. Or at least some elements of those productions are in it, even if it might not be the edit. But we did get the B-roll package for Erica today, which is a very good sign, even though it's episode freaking 6. So that might mean her demise in episode 7. But it was heartwarming. It was everything I love about Survivor, even if this, for some reason, this season is the season where everybody has an obstacle in their life to overcome. But hers made sense. I got it. I understood it. It's kind of like a Nasir story in some ways not as well. but she's the namesake of this episode. She ends up saying, something about being a lamb, but I'm ready to play like a lion. But she also had a couple good other quotes that I think could have been in here. She called it My Survivor Nightmare. I just think that's a great title. Could use a little DIY. I think that's a metaphor for her game. And a lovely title, Survivor is a love letter to my parents. I think, in all honesty, we did get to see the heart of Erica for the first time this week. And that was nice to see a well-rounded character instead of what I was thinking was just going to be a very purple edit to the end.
It's very confusing because she's like an important person this episode, but like I would have thought they would have built that up a little bit last episode to like remind you who Erica is, but it's confusing.
Oh yeah, that's true.
You mentioned some of the international survivors, and I think this is completely the Australian Survivor edit, where she becomes important. You kind of have to give her screen time, and you give her the whole backstory, and then in 2 episodes, you've now done her arc, and she's gone. It's like, oh, she's getting screen time, and that's because she's now no longer on the show.
Yeah, and it feels like Australia because there wasn't an elimination. It was just left on a freaking cliffhanger.
I can't stand that. I absolutely cannot stand that. These guys like dragged me into watching Big Brother because Claire was on it, and otherwise I would not have watched it. And it just reaffirmed. I loved all the scenes Claire was in, but like it just reaffirmed for me that just like these shows where it takes like 4 episodes to vote somebody out or 3 episodes of Big Brother, I can't take it. It needs to be fast. Someone's got to go. Somebody got to go. If someone doesn't go at the end of the episode, what did I waste my hour on? That's my question, honestly. So at the end of this, I was just like, what is that? Like somebody's got to go. It's always got to end with somebody walking off. Torch got to get snuffed. If that doesn't happen, it's not a Survivor episode for me. That's just my opinion.
I thought the twist that was going to happen is that they were going to play challenges until there was one loser, and that person was just going to go home. I know that's very anti-Survivor, but for some reason, I really thought that was what was going to be the twist. First, it was going to be half of the tribe is safe. Then 6 people were going to play an individual challenge and I did think it was going to be something like this twist where it was going to be to earn your buff, because I couldn't think of anything else that could be remotely something that they haven't done before. But we get the merge feast. This is probably the most lackluster merge feast ever, because half of the people are there and they gave it like 2 minutes. There's no clues. There's nothing special. They got some watermelon and and some good food. And then it gets right into it. And I was really fascinated about Liana here telling people about the knowledge is power advantage, not the tell everyone about the knowledge is power advantage.
Yeah, I think she got caught off guard by Shan a little bit. Like Shan kind of brings it up out in the open when they're talking with Tiffany. And I think Liana's kind of just like, I did not have a plan ready for what I was going to tell people. So default, tell them the truth so that it doesn't go sideways. But I don't know. I think she probably ends up telling Shan the truth anyway. I don't know what she ends up really ever telling Tiffany, but I think she kind of got caught off guard and was just like, I would rather not be caught in a lie at this point. Like, let me just tell the truth so this doesn't come back to bite me in the future.
You would think Shan would have like not necessarily felt the need to bring that up like that, but I don't know.
I feel like Shan also had the sense that they were close, because I mean, I think they were. I think Liana had said like they're all sticking together. You can come join us like when we all merge. So I think to Shan, it was kind of like, okay, now I'm here. Now we're all together. We're doing this. Like, let's share some information. Like, I feel like she thought it was probably already public knowledge and had no idea.
Well, I think, couldn't Liana have lied and Shan have been like, oh yeah, I protected my vote. Liana, did you get the advantage? Liana could have been like, I chickened out and I protected my vote. I got nothing. I think she could have said that, because if they both protect their vote, nothing happens, right?
Yeah. I think she was just caught off guard and was just like, let me just default to the truth because I don't want to be caught in a lie.
Yeah.
That's interesting, Cooper, because I think you just summed up Shan's game in 3 words: caught off guard. I think she's consistently been catching people off guard, or like a move they make is somehow just off, and then she makes the other side swipe in and talks to the other person. But even when she was talking with Ricard earlier, I feel like her responses were catching him off guard. Especially with like, I still don't understand why Ricard gave it back to her. Like,
I think that like she has a way of speaking where like as the audience watching it, you're like, oh, this is like BS. This is like her playing the game. But like if you were the player, you're like, oh my God, she's like upset with me. Type of. It's very interesting. Like it's a very, very fine line between outright skullduggery and like, no, I'm actually like an honest person. How come you're betraying me? She's like gaslighting all of them, like kind of constantly. It's kind of amazing.
Yeah, people really trust her. I think we saw that on UA initially. Every single person wanted to work with her. Really, really thought she was with them. And actually, ironically, I think Ricard's the one person on that tribe who's kind of like going to stand up to her a little bit and be like, no, I'm not going to give you your extra vote back right away. Like that doesn't make sense for me. I think it does make sense for him eventually to give it back, just because I think he does need Shan come the merge. She already kind of has that connection with Liana. He knows she's going to be the person that a lot of people are going to come to. People do trust her, so he does still want her on her side, and he needs somebody at this merge. So it did, I think, in the end make sense to kind of give it back, but I think he also made his point of like, we're in this together. It really shouldn't matter, but I will give it to you.
And also, can we just do a quick shout out to Ian using skullduggery in a sentence? Like, as the English teacher in me, is super impressed, super happy. And this would be the perfect word instead of merge feast for them to mess up and try to solve.
Oh God, they would never.
There a long time.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine Probst trying to give clues to that word to give them a solution? It's like where your brain is. Oh, never mind. Was there a game within a game this episode?
Yes.
I missed it. I think I was in the bathroom at that time.
I think there was. I think it was a shot. I can't remember what it was, but it was definitely like a pan in sort of shot, and it was like on something in the corner of the screen. There was. I don't do those.
You didn't see it? Okay.
I just know there was like go to game within a game thing.
Okay, so no, none of us solved it this week. So you can go to survivorgtg.com to have fun with that.
Maybe when I rewatch this season, I'll do them, but not right now.
If you've played any LRG or ORG, you've probably done much harder rebuses in the past. This is not top tier stuff that they're giving us here. This is like Survivor for kids. I feel like this is a recruitment effort
for kids.
Yeah. So we get one interesting potential alliance that's forming. We see Deshawn, Danny, Liana, and Shan talk about how historic it is to be in a season like this, how they could potentially come together as a group of 4 to keep each other's names off the block, using Big Brother, keep each other's names off the vote, and hopefully go deep into this game. What are your guys' takes on this group of 4?
I think these 4 will all make, I'm going to say at least actually the final 5. I genuinely think, I think this is going to be, for those who have seen Big Brother, I think this is going to turn out the exact same way, which is funny because they obviously had not seen Big Brother at the time that this was filming. But I think they're editing it very differently. Big Brother came out right away, and obviously they had to show like these people are sticking together. I think Survivor is now taken to the merge, and I think this is going to be a huge storyline for the rest of the merge. And I think underhandedly, this group of 4 is going to have a lot of power and is going to make a huge run in this game. And I think they will all make at least the final 5, in my opinion. But we'll see. Maybe that's a hot take.
So of all the powers in the game, Shan has 2. Liana has 1 of them. And then we have Xander, Nasir. Is there anyone else?
Yeah, Deshawn has an extra vote too.
Holy crap, that's right. Oh man, if this is a true alliance, everybody else is screwed. Saying it right now. Oh my gosh.
I think you saw how they stuck together in Big Brother. There is this bond that they are unwilling to break, and they touched on that in this episode too. They were like, it just we immediately have this connection that is going to be so hard to turn against each other. But I think in the same way, people aren't going to see what's happening like they did in Big Brother. I think they might put some duos together. They'll put Danny and Deshaun. They might see Liana and Shan. But I don't think people are going to catch on to the four of them all fully working together unless they start making it super obvious, which I think they're all four good enough players not to do. So, and they have so many advantages, and they were all also basically running their tribes, all of them. Like they have so much power. They can basically choose the order of which people are just going to start getting booted here very shortly. So that's what I expect to happen.
I think it's a really good move for Danny, who has no advantages, to be surrounded, and also being the biggest guy out there, to be surrounded by people that at least have a lot of strategic power, which might come across as a type of meat shield in a way, a different type. They're strategically strong, maybe not physically prowess strong. Dustin sent me the rebus. I don't know if it's going to translate. Can I
have?
Can I have?
Can I have your Jack?
Jack
Or Jack?
Is the
Can I have your
jacket?
jacket? Can I have your jacket?
Oh. Or yeah.
Oh, Natalie.
Ah.
Natalie. No, not Natalie. Was that her name? No,
Yeah,
Natalie was the one with the jacket. That's right.
Yeah.
Angelina asked for it. Yeah.
Angelina. Yes, the person. There's an LRG called Survivor Angelica, and I always call it Survivor Angelina because I can't forget this woman. So yeah, I have one more hot take. I think if this alliance of four does not create a name, going off of the cookout, I think we should call them the Luau.
I can see that. I think whatever they call it, I think they will name it shortly, whether we see it or not. Honestly, on the show, this alliance, it's gonna turn out just like Big Brother did. I can already see it happening.
And it's who has the power, like the social capital or the advantages to take them out and to figure them out? Like probably nobody. I think there might be I don't know if they're going to go totally four strong. I think there might be one backstab around 6 or something, but I've thought for a little while Liana's the winner. So this kind of adds up to, how she might get there and stuff like that. So
I do feel like because it's starting halfway through the game as opposed to the one in Big Brother, that there's potentially a lot of them do have other alliances with people. So it could potentially be slightly less strong than that one was just by it starting later. But on the other hand, Shan doesn't have a ton of people really, and it makes she was already working with Liana. So it all does kind of make sense that they would just stick together.
Yeah. I think the fact that they have other people who they have gotten close to is what is going to make this alliance so strong. Nobody's going to see this as a strong four. They're going to have numbers to do what they want. They have, between the four of them, they basically have all of the social capital in the game, as well as basically all the advantages that are in the game, and the ability to take an advantage from whoever they really feel they need to take one from. So it just feels like if they want to stick together, they could just snap their fingers and be the final four if they really chose to.
That's true. I feel like like you mentioned, out of the four of them, I think Danny would be the one that would potentially get voted out. Sometimes I wonder if being an ex professional football player is just not advantageous as a win scenario when people are awarding you lots of money when you possibly already have lots of money.
I mean, did he lie about that, or do they know?
I don't know.
I thought he lied to them about it and said that I thought there was the episode where he went to the island. I thought there was a conversation with him and somebody where he was like, oh, I used to play sports in high school, or he tried to play it off like he was not a professional athlete, but maybe I misremember.
Yeah, I think he's trying to play it off. I forget if people actually know or not. I don't remember.
Bless you, man.
That's a good question. I don't really know. It would be a good strategic move, I think, to not reveal it.
Yeah.
So we don't get a ton, but it's also interesting, like you're saying, Cooper, because it wouldn't be like a FOA 4 or an I-24, like the final group. What we're seeing here is a true mix-up of these 3 different groups of people, and they're bringing with them all of the baggage from these 12 days of voting out people or not voting out people. Danny and Deshaun are going to have a really hard game, just like getting in the mix of it and then just starting to cut off former Blue members. I could see that being pretty rough as it gets into the jury phase if they don't do that earlier than later.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm most intrigued about kind of the initial sides that are going to get drawn. Obviously, that's always the big thing that's happening at Merge. And you've kind of seen people are talking about Blues saying they're kind of cannibalizing each other, but is that really what's happening? So I think you're going to get a lot of people who want to for sure do a Blue person first. So who does that leave on the one tribe? Sydney, Deshaun, and Danny, I think, and Nasir now.
If they go after Blue first, yeah, if they're not immune.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nasir's not going home anytime soon, I don't think, based on the edit. So I could see Sydney.
Everyone gets a vote, even the people who is how it's going to work, basically, but just half the people are safe.
Yeah.
So okay, so in this scenario, let's reveal the final cliffhanger. Jeff Probst is making house calls. He comes up in his not little boat. His boat was very nice. I think he had the Cochrane little yacht thing that he came in on, and he's like a star in this season. He's like one of the contestants. He's all over the place. He's at Exile. He's bringing food. He's bringing stuff. So he sits down and he brings an hourglass and a hammer, just what Erica needed.
Yeah. First, I just want to point out that I'm pretty sure he has more confessionals where he is talking to the camera than Heather does.
Oh yeah.
Like many. So he is more of a player than Heather has been shown on the show. But yeah, I mean, he gives her this choice and is like, oh, you can do nothing or be safe and screw over everybody who screwed you over. So I don't
What's she gonna pick?
I don't know how much of a choice this is. If she does not take safety, I genuinely just won't know what to think. It will just break me for the rest of the season, honestly. So I'm running under every assumption that she will just take safety, which she should. And I think that this makes it one of the worst twists we've ever seen in Survivor, because basically you were asking a tribe to go win the challenge, and they are almost for sure then going to be the group of people who are not safe at tribal council. They won food, and one of them will be getting picked off. And that is what's
you should never be penalized for winning a challenge. I don't think, at least in this kind of scenario, you should not be It should not be that that the actual strategy would have been to not win the challenge. Like, there's no way you could have known that. Therefore, it's kind of bullshittery. I feel like
the only justification I have is I think that 6 is still gonna be able to win immunity, but still they won it and then it got taken away. So it's not like they're totally screwed. They still have to still could win immunity, but yeah, it's usually once you win, you shouldn't be able to have it taken from you unless maybe it's something rare where you could have actually prevented it strategically, but I don't think they could have. So
if it was established from the get-go, then it would have made it a little more interesting, I guess. But then I don't know. I don't know.
You could have had them either playing for food or safety or something, but knowing that up front, hey, the winner of this challenge gets safety, but the losers they're somehow going to get the merge feast. And then you have to decide whether you really want to win the challenge or lose the challenge or something. But
that would have been good.
It'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, it's so if the scenario, if let's say Erica doesn't break the hourglass, who do we think is going home in that scenario? Do we think it's actually going to be Erica? Because I kind of do.
Yeah.
If she doesn't break that, she's done.
It will be her.
Done.
It will be her.
Yeah.
Maybe Xander, but realistically,
but Xander might play as idol.
It shouldn't be, but that's the only other person I feel like could be on that side.
People are gonna want to do a Blue. Blue wants to do her. She hasn't been there to even make nobody's going to be
so
fighting
easy for
her
them to just throw under the bus.
It's like let's just push off the actual merge for one vote. just get rid of this person who nobody wants to work with or has a relationship with, and then we can actually start playing the game. If she really doesn't do that, but it would be probably the worst move in Survivor history if she does not do this. Like I just wouldn't understand it.
Like she has justification. It's not like the group that didn't choose her can really be mad. Like they didn't choose her. Like she has every reason to kind of get them back. So it's not like they did her a favor and then she screwed them. Like no, they did. That's not what they did.
That's true. So let's run on the assumption now that she does take that hammer and smash that hourglass. We have Danny, Ricard, Sydney, Evie, Deshawn, and Nasir, right?
Yep.
Who's going home out of that group?
It's a lot more interesting. I don't know.
It is.
I would think either Sydney or Ricard. Maybe Sydney if they wanted to do a blue. But I mean, if Shan is still somewhat fractured with Ricard, he might not have anybody really sticking up for him. But like I don't see it being Nasir this early or Danny or Deshawn. And Evie's still probably going to have some people that are going to fight for her. So
I feel like it could actually end up being Evie maybe in that scenario. I don't feel like Shan, if especially if they're about to make this close alliance, if she's about to make this close alliance with like Deshawn and them, I don't feel like she's gonna let Ricard go like first. Her only other ally, like realistically in the game.
yeah, and I thought Evie was in control of yellow early, but now it's definitely like Liana's definitely more in control. So I do think Evie's spot has definitely sort of slipped a little bit.
It would be interesting. It could just end up being Sydney though. That might make sense. I don't think they're that tight with her.
Yeah, I think there is a slight chance it could be Nasir as well. You had people talking about this episode of wanting to Liana taking his idol, knowing that he obviously has one, and trying to go after him at some point. So if for whatever reason Danny and Deshawn want to protect him over Sydney, I don't really know who they're closer to. They seem to want to protect Sydney when Erica was going after her, but they've also had some good conversations with Nasir. So if people are really like a blue needs to go, I almost feel like it's going to come down to Liana and Shan asking Danny and Deshawn, hey, would you prefer Nasir or Sydney go? It's going to be one of them. So we'll see.
So yeah, I think we'll see. I'm ready to do a little bit of maybe prediction, maybe spoilery stuff. Have you guys seen the episode title for episode 7 or episode 8 yet?
No.
Okay, well, let's bring this out. So episode 6, this was Erica's sentence, ready to play like a lion. They leave us at the cliffhanger of Erica sitting there with a hammer going like this. Episode 7 is called There's Gonna Be Blood. I think it could be, it's infighting on blue, just what you're predicting. Like a blue person goes home there. Episode 8, and this is why I don't think it would be Evie, potentially, or Ricard. Episode 8's title is Betraydar. Like the term gaydar, it's Betraydar. Or radar. I don't know why I said gaydar first, but
you think one of them two says that?
I do, because it seems like the gaydar phrase, and I hate to just like throw it at the gays, but I think it could be them. I don't know.
Interesting. Yeah.
So who's being betrayed? I would think.
That could
I think that's Ricard talking about Shan.
I was going to say that.
I think they might betray, like my betraydar is going on.
I think that's
talking
about Shan.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. So there's not much for you folks in regards to, talking about why a person didn't win Survivor, because we don't know yet. But what I always have to, just for my favorite Survivor friend, Jillian Larson, I have our draft we did. This is our current standings, guys, that we are currently at. I'm sitting with only 3 people left. Jillian has 4, and King Lance has 5. But I gotta say, I think I'm stacked with my 3 potentially. Like, I know Sydney's an iffy one for next week, but I don't know. I think I'm good to go.
Yeah. I think Lance's team is going to be in trouble here in the near future. I think you could see easily 4 of the 5 of them go in the next 5 votes. To be honest, I I might take Jillian's team at this point, though. That's looking pretty good to me.
Is it most points for winner? Like, because I think Liana's winning, but I don't know how many points that's going to get you.
Yeah,
if she
we're
wins.
literally not doing points. It's just basically like winner takes all. You're the best of the best. Good job. Good pick. There's your crown.
I like your team then. Yeah.
Yeah, you probably have the most winner upside with even Deshaun. I'll throw in Deshaun as a pretty good winner upside, to be honest.
And Jillian's still got Heather too, and Heather's just she's being pulled up the challenge. She's getting through this game.
I really don't know who Heather is. I don't remember seeing her on the show. Genuinely.
What did she do to the editors? Like, I don't know.
I don't know. Something bad. They did not like her.
They were not feeling her at all. Well, friends, this has been a blast. Great breakdown. Super fun. Cooper, what's upcoming for Survivor Michigan?
Oh boy. I don't even know if I'm the right person to be talking about this, but obviously season 5 is our next season that is coming out. It is All Stars. So I think that's what has been publicly shown. I am playing. That is official. We have released that. But I don't believe we've released anybody else. We have released silhouettes of the 21 people who are playing our All-Star season. So if you would like to try to go figure out who you think those people may or may not be my guest. We will not give you any kind of indication of whether you're right or wrong. But yeah, we're super excited for it. It is coming in the pipeline. We want to make sure that it is a really good season because it was a very fun season to be a part of. So yeah, it is. I cannot undersell this season at all. I think it is.
You
Sorry,
can't oversell.
Sorry, oversell. I apologize.
I want to make sure we don't get anything out there.
I can't undersell this. I can't undersell
see, people
this.
in the Reddit threads. Cooper said Michigan All Stars is not good.
Misspeaking. I can't oversell this enough. It is one of the most entertaining seasons, strategic seasons, emotional seasons of Survivor that I think will have ever been put out there, both college, international, US, all of the above. So a very, very good season that I can't wait for people to see.
It's super exciting because there's so many cast members that would make for excellent All-Stars potential. So I'm really stoked to see who's in the cast. Yeah, Dustin just said exactly what I said. Do you have any, do we know when we might see the cast?
This is a more Ian question, to be honest. I don't know if there's a set date, but I'll let him answer that how he answered that.
I have a date in mind. We will see if we hit that date or not. It depends how the editing goes. I have a date. I have basically a set in mind of what I want to release when, how far out from when the season starts. So there's a date I want to hit, and we'll see if we get there or not. But I will say we had a Survivor Michigan reunion a few weeks back in Ann Arbor. A ton of us went back for it, and these guys saw a rough cut of one of the episodes. So
it was something. It was one of the most riveting. I mean, I know everything that happens. So, and it was still one of the most riveting. I think it was like an hour rough cut of television I've ever seen, and just like it's not often that something can live up to such insane hype, but it lived up to it and surpassed it. So yeah, it was really good.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
Goosebumps for the intros, for kind of the whole intro sequence was goosebumps.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm always here for a good intro sequence.
And that's something really
matters.
Cool.
That matters. That's so cool. When you guys were filming, was it pre-COVID, during COVID?
Pre-COVID.
Yeah,
This was
we got really lucky. This was the semester right before COVID happened. So
fall 2019.
We really got lucky the way it shook out, because it would have been really a bummer to have to go online for All Stars.
Yes,
we've seen a few college survivors that had to do that, and it doesn't float my boat. I know some people like watching the Zoom Survivor, to each their own. Since this is practically what that is here, but it's a whole different monster, I think, when you're playing online Survivor.
Sure. I think it would have definitely negatively impacted our season if that had happened. So I'm very glad that it played out the way it did, because there's a lot of great stuff that I feel like great moments in person that, you're not going to get necessarily if that had to happen.
Yeah.
But so hopefully sooner rather than later, we will as soon as there is something to know, you will be the first to know.
Awesome. We always stand the editors. You guys create the content for us. We love the players. We love the hosts too, because without you, you're the talent. None of this happens, but the editors, we truly stand because you guys make the magic, and you guys are the ones that really make this reality for us. This has been a blast, guys, breaking down episode 6 with no elimination. This is the weirdest one I've ever done for sure. So thanks for jumping on this podcast with me. Next week, we'll break down episode 7, where hopefully somebody will be eliminated, and we will have another live reality game taking over. And right now, I can't remember who it is. So you'll find out about that next week when Dustin posts the picture. Until then, friends, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you soon.